The one neither moves nor rests. It is neither in itself nor outside itself. It is simultaneously older than itself and younger than itself. This is not a Zen koan. This is Plato, the most rigorous philosopher of antiquity, writing what looks like deliberate nonsense. Today we find out why he's doing it on purpose. To understand why Plato wrote this, we need to see what he stood to lose. In the first quarter of the Parmenides, followers of Parmenides, the Eleatics, attack the theory of forms with airtight logic. If their critique lands, the dominoes fall fast. No forms means no stable objects of knowledge. No knowledge means no dialectic. No dialectic means no philosopher king. And no philosopher king means the entire moral and political order Plato built has no metaphysical foundation. His whole project collapses. He cannot let this stand. He has to counterattack. And the counterattack he chooses is one of the strangest performances in the history of philosophy. Why can't Plato just retreat and admit defeat? Same reason scientists don't abandon a theory until something better arrives. The competing options are worse. Heraclitean flux, where everything constantly changes, makes knowledge impossible. You can't know a river that won't sit still. Eleatic monism, the claim that reality is one undifferentiated thing, looks more rigorous, but Plato will show it's actually worse than flux. It doesn't just resist knowledge, it resists speech itself, so Plato doesn't defend the forms directly. He turns the Eleatic weapon around and aims it at Eleatic monism. First, clear up what the one actually means. The common misreading, one big object sitting among other objects. Wrong. The Eleatic One is the entire undifferentiated totality. All space, all time, all matter, all distinction, collapsed into a single boundaryless unity. It has no inside, no outside, no parts, no edges, no neighbors. Now here's the trap. To say anything about the one, that it exists, that it is round, that it moves, you must draw a distinction. You must mark off this from that. But the one has no distinctions. Therefore, by its own definition, nothing can be said of it. Language and monism are incompatible at the root. Plato is about to prove this exhaustively. So Plato can't retreat. He attacks. And the attack looks like this. The character Parmenides delivers 8 propositions across 4 hypotheses. He asks, if the one exists, what follows for the one? What follows for everything else? Then, if the one does not exist, what follows for the one? What follows for everything else? 4 branches. Every branch is pushed to its logical limit, and in every branch, every predicate gets affirmed and denied. P and not P, P and not P, P and not P. The dialogue is a grid of contradictions. Let's walk through one antinomy slowly, because the abstract claims earn their weight only when you see the machinery work. Does the one move? Motion means going from here to there, but the one is everything. There is no there for it to go to. It already occupies every location because it is every location. So the one does not move. Fine. Then it must be at rest. But rest means holding a position, staying put at some location, distinct from other locations you're not occupying. The one has no location distinct from any other. There is no spot it could be holding, so the one does not rest either. Conclusion, the one neither moves nor rests. Both predicates fail. By Eleatic reasoning using Eleatic premises, Plato hasn't broken any rules, he's just followed them. Run the same machine on being. Does the one exist? To exist is to be distinct from non-being, but the one has no distinctions, so existence fails. Does it fail to exist? Then we're talking about nothing, but we are talking about it, so something is there. Both fail. Now try time. Is the one older than itself? Younger than itself? Both follow, because without internal differentiation, it has no fixed temporal position relative to anything, including itself. Every axis we try, motion, being, age, sameness, difference, produces the same collapse. Picture it as a Mobius strip. Two contradictory claims look like opposite sides of an argument, but trace the surface carefully with rigor, and you find there is only one side. Following the reasoning from P with full Eleatic discipline delivers you smoothly to not P. The opposites meet. Language about the one doesn't reach a contradiction by mistake. It curls back on itself by design. The Eleatic ontology cannot articulate itself. It is a logical singularity where every sentence collapses into its own negation. Skip forward roughly 22 centuries. Immanuel Kant publishes the Critique of Pure Reason in 1781. In it, he presents the antinomies of pure reason, pairs of equally valid proofs for contradictory conclusions about the universe, freedom, God. His diagnosis, reason applied beyond its proper limits, generates contradictions. Structurally, this is exactly Plato's move. Plato got there in roughly 370 BCE. The Parmenides is not a stumble. It is one of the great early demonstrations of reason's outer edge. Why bother with this elaborate logical theater? Because it's high philosophical comedy. A great logician plays out his opponent's first principles to their absurd, self-destroying conclusion. This is reductio ad absurdum at the scale of an entire metaphysics. The Eleatics criticize the forms with logic, but by their own ontology, logical articulation is impossible. Every claim turns into its own negation. Their foundation evaporates. The forms survive, not because Plato refutes the critique line by line, but because the critics are revealed as standing on nothing. And the Antinomies don't show Plato giving up on logic. They show his absolute mastery of it. He aims his opponent's weapon at their feet, watches it fire, and steps away. The Parmenides closes the middle period, a moment of crisis converted, through sheer audacity, into a victory.